Thanks for coming with us. The Monday. How did it get to be Monday already?
Well, that's what happens when you have like a big event on Sunday, when we all know that today should be a national holiday.
Yeah.
We've all informally decided this, and yet no one who's in a power position will just call it.
Yeah. Is next week a national holiday? President's Day?
President's Day is coming up. Could be maybe next Monday.
Why don't they just switch it around?
It is.
Make it President/Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm sure the memory of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington would approve.
I mean, it's, I don't know, just what the shoe fits.
Do you think there are descendants? There have to be. Descendants of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln currently living in the United States? Why would there not be?
If they were, I'd like to follow them on Twitter. Are they good? Are they a good follow?
Because we could ask them if they mind.
They wouldn't mind. How could they mind?
You don't even know that they exist. How do you know they don't mind?
Well, I'm just saying. Well, yeah. Considering DNA testing, well, I wonder could you dig up George Washington's bones?
We have his a shock of his hair is at the Heinz History Center.
Well, let's do a little DNA testing and find out. Maybe we are. Maybe we ourselves are descendants of George Washington.
I can't be.
He walked through Western Pennsylvania.
I can't be because I know how I got here.
Oh, right.
Right.
Well, I can't. I'm just saying, in our listening area, there may be descendants.
Yeah, there
of
could
George
be.
Washington.
You know what's a great thing to do? Going to the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln in around Lexington, Kentucky. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, I've driven
and
by
they've done such a wonderful job with the whole area.
Really?
First of all, it's beautiful. Second of all, the log cabin where he was born is still preserved.
Get out.
And they built a house around it because obviously it can't take the weather.
It's got to be tiny.
It's super small.
You can walk into a house and then walk into...
You can only look... Yeah, you walk into a larger house and then you kind of wait in line like you're waiting for like an amusement park ride. And then you see... the house.
Walk into the house?
You cannot walk into the house. You can look at it from the outside, but you can't walk into it.
Yeah, because I can't imagine. It's a dirt floor, right? I mean, super cool.
But it's a beautiful, beautiful area. Yeah, I really loved it. I'm not sure. See, it's not even President's Day. Why didn't you ask me a Valentine question?
Well, they could make a national holiday for Valentine's Day.
No, it's
right
because it's.
It'd be kind of cheesy.
It's a little peripheral.
It's going to blow off, Yeah.
Kind of
That's
floofy.
the problem, right? Because you think, it's because every time we give a national holiday, then our productivity goes down. The government.
We can't do that. We can't do that.
It turns around.
Right.
Another holiday. That's the last
seriously,
thing we need.
another one.
But today I could use a national holiday.
Everybody should have the day after the Super Bowl off.
Did you sit on the couch a lot?
I don't have a couch.
Oh, that's right. Did you lay in the bed? You lay in the bed.
I sat in a chair.
I sent
you guys a picture of my Super Bowl bowl.
Oh, yeah. It was very nice.
Which had my nachos in it, the olive salad that you brought for me, which was delicious, John.
Excellent.
I had made guacamole.
Yeah.
It was a little disappointing.
What? The Super Bowl food?
Yeah.
Or the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl food.
Oh.
We're going to talk about the Super Bowl at 5 o'clock. We'll talk
It's
in particular about some
everything you
things
eat
about
now,
the game.
it's had to be diminished somewhat.
It is.
You're living on a hot plate. That's
I made the nacho cheese in the hot plate, you guys. And
come on. You're like James
it wasn't
Cagney
that good.
You're in a cell block.
Yeah, and let me tell you what it was like to clean that up in the bathtub.
Oh, I
decided I'm never doing that again.
My wife and I talk about the bathtub a lot.
Yeah, I bet. You're probably concerned that I'm going to end up with...
Well...
What disease could I end up with? Some kind of food poisoning.
Just what the drain must be like. Are you?
No, you can't put any food down the drain.
Okay, good.
You have to put that in the toilet.
No. See, TMI.
You have to. Where do you think it's going to go?
Monday, and already we're...
Where do you think
TMI.
it's going to go, John?
Holy smokes.
Where it's got to go.
All right.
You want to come over this weekend for dinner?
No, I'm good.
Christy, you? I'll pass. All right.
I don't want to visit. I don't want to use your bathroom. I don't want to, although, isn't it funny? You used my bathtub.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Years ago. Mm-hmm. What happened? Your kid got a rash or something?
Yeah, it was we thought it was poison ivy, and it ended up not being poison ivy.
So we were having a gathering at our house in the summertime, and all of our kids were there. They were little, maybe 10, 8, that age.
I think Katie Rose was 6.
And you were like, can I take my kid up to your bathtub and
I don't even know you, but can I take my kid into your bathtub?
No, you knew me well.
She had this red rash, and it was one of those rashes that you can watch it spread. You're thinking, I feel like this is bad.
People are like, where's Kath? She's up taking a bath with her kid.
Remember the time time I got sick at your house?
I do remember that as well. And that our toilet sits by a window that looks out over the backyard. And there was, where's Cal? And like we're waving, and there's like a little crack in the blind. And you're like,
I got really sick that day.
you did, yeah.
That was a shame.
We had burgers. You sat on the pot.
I couldn't even. That whole day was a wash.
No, it was more than a wash, believe me. Much more than a wash. Anyway, how do we segue into the news after this conversation?
I'm going to leave that to you.
How do we? Because that's pretty slim pickings there. But okay, let's get serious here for a moment and look at international. Oh, geez, really? International and national news.
Oh, gosh.
Kath, as we always do.
Yep.
As we always do, please give us the top 4 at 4.
Oh, my gosh.
Holy smokes.
Number 1, John. So Russia has moved some long-range artillery and rocket launchers into firing position, threatening Ukraine. U.S. believes Russia will attack Ukraine by the end of the week, though not certain what form that'll take. What does that mean? What form that'll take?
See when it comes.
Are they going to say bad things about them on Twitter? I mean, what? I mean, what are we talking about? What form that will take?
Please don't let people die. Please don't.
Well, if they attack Ukraine, people are going to die. I mean, it's just horrible. It's absolutely atrocious. And speaking of Russia, Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva will be allowed to continue competing at the Winter Olympics despite failing a drug test. Did you hear about that?
Scam.
Now, what is going on?
Scam. The whole thing's crooked. Everything's rigged.
I feel like this.
Everything.
I feel like this poor girl, who's like 14 or something, 15, has been totally manipulated by her government, by the. I can't even figure out what happened with this drug test.
I don't know. There's nothing.
Because she tested positive in December ahead of the figure skating championships, but nobody saw the result.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Until, listen, this is what they're saying. Nobody saw the result until after they did the team
Get out. What?
skating thing, which they won.
Nobody saw it?
Nobody saw the result.
Is everything a scam?
Here, this director at the Olympics says this late notification is extremely unfortunate as it affects not only the athlete but also the organizers of the Olympic Games. In other words, they said, we would not have this case and I would not be here if these anti-doping test procedures would have been completed in 1 week or 10 days, as is generally the case at the Olympics. So it took that long for the results to come back. That's what it was. It's not that they weren't released, it's that they didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
Do you think the whole thing's rigged?
Yes.
The whole thing.
Times 10.
Number 3. Remember the 4-legged 37-pound creature that was being treated for mange in Fairfield County?
Oh, I do.
Remember at the Mount Pleasant Township Wildlife Rehab Center?
It destroyed a vet's
It was
office?
there for 2 nights, and then it took the place apart. It got out of its cage. It figured out how to get out of a window and open the window and get out of the screen before it exited into the wilderness. Anyway, DNA results are back. 100% coyote.
Wow. That's so cool.
And scary, right?
It's a wild thing. Cannot be contained.
Obviously didn't want to be contained. And number 4, the LA Rams won the Super Bowl 23-20 over the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
It was a good game. I enjoyed it a lot.
It was, I found myself getting tense.
That's your top 4 at 4.
All right, thank you. Were you tense?
I was tense at the end.
Why was I tense? Like,
I know. I kept telling myself, you don't care about either one of these teams. Why are you tense?
Well, the only reason I was tense because I wanted to beat you two. You and Christy.
Well, we're going to talk about that at 5:50.
All right.
Because you didn't.
Oh, boy. That's why I was tense. Yeah, I was stress eating.
Yeah, okay.
Another elephant ear, please.
Coming up next, this week in the nation's capital, our good friend Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent, will tell us the latest on Ukraine. And also, apparently there's a Bible verse on display in the White House Valentine message today. Does that surprise you?
Very much so.
Okay. Wonder if it surprises them.
101.5 WORD.
Coming up on Love Worth Finding.
Do you have a holy boldness in your faith?
Arrogance, presumption. This is not boldness. What is boldness? Boldness is having the courage to stand for the Lord Jesus Christ in the face of opposition.
Join us for more of Adrian Rogers' series, Living Supernaturally. this month on Love Worth Finding.
Tonight at 11 on 101.5 WORD.
My son is in the second grade at our local public school, and yet somehow he gets to attend a Bible class during his school day because of LifeWise Academy.
We're seeing public school students from urban, rural, and suburban communities who have never heard the basic stories of how Jesus came to rescue us.
Hey Word FM listeners, I'm Joel Penton, founder of LifeWise Academy, and we bring Bible education to public school students during the school day. Believe it or not, in 1952, the Supreme Court ruled that students can actually be released from public school during school hours to receive religious instruction. However, almost no one knows it's possible. LifeWise Academy provides the structure and tools for local communities to put to work. This program is taking off nationwide, and our kids' futures are being changed. Would you consider leading the charge to start a LifeWise in your neighborhood school? The first step is to voice your support at lifewiseacademy.org.
I love seeing the transformation of a smile.
There's a reason patients love Dr. Megan Stock, voted Pittsburgh Trib's Best of the Best dentist in Northern Allegheny County for the second year in a row.
You don't have to do full mouth rehabilitation to really transform a patient's life, for a patient to be able to smile confidently and be happy with their own smile.
Exceptional dentistry meets compassionate care. Stock Family Dentistry, Perry Highway in Wexford, at stockfamilydentistry.com.
Before Bamboo HR, I feel like crying just thinking about it.
We were still handling everything via paper, and we literally had paper stacked.
It was all in spreadsheets and like folders.
From the moment I started using it, I felt calmer.
As soon as we started using the Bamboo onboarding checklist, I mean, it was extremely easy.
Head count, turnover, years of service. There's just so many different reports that I use at different points in time.
I'm totally set free to focus on the people, to focus on development, to focus on team dynamics.
It's freeing me up to do more of the stuff that actually matters in HR, which is interacting with people, learning from them, and then building stuff for them.
Everything is in this one place. I can't even imagine what it would be like without Bamboo HR.
We're Bamboo HR, and we'd love to set you free to do great work. Come try our award-winning all-in-one HR software for free with no strings attached. Visit bamboohr.com/HR for this free trial offer. That's bamboohr.com/HR.
We go now to the White House, where Greg Clugston joins us. Greg Clugston is the SRN News White House correspondent with an update about what's happening in the Ukraine crisis. Greg, happy Monday. Welcome back. How are you?
Hey, John, doing great. Good to be here on the ride home with you and Kathy.
Yeah, it's always good to see you here, Greg. The Ride Home streaming live on YouTube if you want to see Greg's face via Zoom. We're talking about the latest, and of course we'll go to Ukraine first, as John said. I mean, all of us have been hoping that this was something that we could avert, that it could be, talked away or it could be negotiated away. And now I see news that people are thinking that there's going to be an attack by the end of the week.
Yeah, for starters, nobody knows. The White House doesn't know. The Defense Department doesn't know. There's speculation. It's also based on intelligence gathering. There's been a lot of cooperation between the U.S. And NATO and among allies in the region in terms of intelligence and information gathering and sharing. But the bottom line is nobody knows, the mind of Vladimir Putin, of course, who is directing all of this activity in terms of the military troop buildup along the Ukraine border. Having said all that, the White House and the Defense Department, but especially at the end of last week, the White House was giving a pretty bleak outlook as to what could happen, saying that the White House, the United States, believes that Russia is now clearly in a position for an invasion to take place at any time. So that means, yes, it could happen as soon as this week, or whether something happens between now and a possible start to an attack. Possibly it could be deterred. Diplomacy and deterrence efforts continue. It was a pretty busy weekend for the president, for example. He was on the phone for an hour with Putin on Saturday. He called the Ukrainian president yesterday, and he was talking with the British Prime Minister Johnson earlier this afternoon. Still no change in the situation, so that's where we are right now.
So, Greg, I wonder, just, looking ahead and trying to, have some vision of what might happen if and when Russia does attack, Ukraine would be committed to defending their country? Or would they just say, there's no sense in defending ourselves against this gigantic war machine that's about to take place. We'll just surrender even as this event is ongoing. Has there been talk about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's an unknown to some degree, but I think it's a legitimate concern and certainly a legitimate question. Now, there have been military supplies from the United States and other NATO partners that have been flowing into Ukraine. So the sense is that there would be some sort of fight, some sort of defense on the part of Ukraine. What makes the Ukraine story so interesting is there are separatists, there are Russian supporters who are in Ukraine. And so there has been these tensions ongoing within that country for a number of years now. And Russia is trying to beef up those that are inside Ukraine that support Moscow's efforts. And so it's not just the military troops along the border from Russia, although that is very concerning, but also just the dynamic within the country. And so that's why there's a big question mark as to how quickly the Ukrainian capital, for example, might fall if there is a military invasion.
What about the effect of the timing, Greg? So, the Olympics, the 2 weeks every couple years, is supposed to be usually is a time when, countries come together. We celebrate the, divergence in culture and, the glory of sport and, the wonderful nature and dedication of young people all around the world. This time, first of all, it's weird because it's happening in China when we know all the human rights violations that are going on. Second of all, it's at the wrong time, right? Because we just had an Olympics. But third of all, I thought I heard that Russia was thinking of delaying any military incursion until after the Olympics were over. What do you hear about that? Is there any conversation about the timing, Olympics versus the situation in Ukraine?
Certainly, this idea that the possibility of a possible invasion could be delayed until after the Olympics has been suggested. It's out there being discussed, but there's no real credence being given to it, at least by the United States. Again, going back to my first point, is because U.S. officials say they simply don't know the mind of Putin and what his strategy might be. It's noteworthy that Putin was at the opening ceremony of the Olympics there for the first day or two. Russia and China are partners on a lot of different levels. And so the thinking was that Putin would not want to anger or take the spotlight away from China, which is seeing this as a world stage when you are hosting the Olympics. But at the same time, then you had the White House giving sharing intelligence matters. And it wasn't just the White House. There were other partners and things who were suggesting that it could happen as soon as this week, and possibly even a date of Wednesday was given out by some country as to saying it could happen that soon. So again, it's in this murky area of not knowing what the true intentions of Vladimir Putin are, because Moscow says there is no plan for an invasion, even though they have 100,000 plus troops on the border. And
that's interesting, right? I mean, so Moscow has pushed back and said, oh, this is Western hysteria. This is something that you've created, sort of putting us in the driver's seat, when in fact, of course, that's not true. So what about that, Greg? What do you know about President Biden speaking with Vladimir Putin? You said it was just even on Saturday, they had another hour-long discussion.
Right. We got a readout from the White House. We heard from the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, on some of the Sunday talk shows yesterday. And it was really a repeated statement by President Biden in terms of the United States position, the West's position, NATO's position, in terms of cautioning and, in fact, warning Russia not to invade Ukraine. Because even though Ukraine is not actively seeking NATO membership, that is a concern of Vladimir Putin, worried that a former Republic state, a Soviet state like Ukraine, could possibly become a member of the NATO alliance, which was, of course, an alliance to stand up against the old Soviet Union, would be sort of a black eye for Vladimir Putin and Russia. But even though that's not actively being pursued, this idea of losing another piece of the former Soviet bloc even further. That seems to be the driving force here for Putin, even though, again, he says he's not interested in invading. The foreign minister in Russia today told reporters that Accenture issued a statement saying that he is hoping that there can be more continued talks, more negotiations with the United States and others. So there is still this hope, possibly an off-ramp, a diplomatic off-ramp, which the White House says is still open if Putin wants to take it.
We're speaking with Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent. So, Greg, let's go from one bad story to another. Numbers out today are 4 to 5. Of course, what everyone knows, that inflation continues to rise.
Right. We got those numbers, and they came as no surprise in one sense. 7.5% increase in inflation over the course of last year. And what the White House, by the way, was pretty much expecting the numbers to be above 7% because, we had 11 of the 12 months already confirmed in terms of what those numbers were. So the writing was pretty clear on that. What the White House was putting its hope in was the possibility of seeing some improvement on the most recent month-to-month trends, saying, okay, 7.5% inflation on just about all goods and services over the last year, but maybe from November to December to January, there was an improving trend. We didn't see that. We saw it continue to worsen. And so the initial, the initial statement and a hope by the White House at the beginning of Biden's term in office and early last summer of it being transitory inflation or temporary inflation still hasn't borne out, and everybody's paying a lot at the grocery store and at the gas pump.
Last night's Super Bowl, Greg, seeing 75,000 people in a stadium in California with no masks made people who live in California really mad about the kinds of restrictions that they're under. So different states are going in different places. Some are rolling back mask mandates, both Republican and Democratic governors. What are things like at the White House?
Well, the White House is sticking by the CDC guidelines, which currently have stricter guidance in terms of masking in public and that sort of thing than what we're seeing from a lot of states. And a lot of these states that are changing their rules, whether it's New Jersey or Massachusetts, other states are led by Democratic governors who are essentially breaking away from President Biden on this. They feel like their numbers are changing in enough positive direction in terms of caseloads and infections and hospitalizations that they can start to ease and pull back on some of these restrictions. And the White House, I think that there are discussions that are starting to be made in terms of maybe moving in that direction, but they're sticking with the CDC and essentially waiting for the health officials at that agency to make the decision before Biden agrees to it.
All right. Well, it's no surprise, right? I mean, throughout COVID, the pandemic, there's been mixed signals from everyone. So
right. Did you see any masks at the Super Bowl last night?
No, of course not.
I didn't either.
No.
Except for the players when they were on the field, right?
Right, exactly.
With the helmets.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Imagine if you were in California and especially your kids were in school all day, being masked all day in school, your 6-year-old or whatever, your teacher's masked, whatever, and they turn on the Super Bowl and everybody's, 20 miles away having a big party.
Right, exactly. Make you crazy. Greg, okay, so happy
nice
Valentine's.
And warm, though, didn't it?
Oh, it was very nice and warm. Happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. The White House released a Valentine's Day statement today, which had a Bible theme to it. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, it did. Really interesting. There was a large wooden piece of art, couple of pieces of artwork out on the north lawn today, including a heart-shaped, decoration. And it had a Bible verse on it. What? It was 1 Corinthians 13, talking about and the greatest of these is love. And so it was a New Living Translation of that Bible verse. It was a part of an effort by the First Lady. She had asked some second graders at a DC public school to put together some Valentine's decorations that they could hang at the White House. And she asked them to make the decorations around some key values: hope, love, peace, family, compassion, those kinds of things. So she was trying to use the day to instill some good values and also added a little biblical input as well, and is right there for all to see on the front lawn of the White House.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right. So, Greg, let me just throw this in here because, you see this on some media, but not a lot of other media. What about the report that we hear about the Clintons spying on the Trumps? Is anybody talking about that at the White House?
Not a lot at the White House. There have been a lot. It's not really a news blackout, but a lot of news outlets have steered away from the story.
Yeah.
But there was a special counsel that was appointed during the Trump administration to look into the origin of the whole Russian, link to the Trump campaign and to Donald Trump.
Yes.
And so this special counsel filed in court last week, sort of a convoluted story, but essentially found an individual who worked in cybersecurity who was using contacts that he had with the government to possibly look into White House servers to find dirt on President Trump, and also was trying to use that same technology into accessing servers at the Trump Tower in New York. So this is not somebody who worked directly for the campaign, but had connections to the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party.
That seems like that has to be a huge story.
But it's not, isn't it? Right? It's in some aspects.
How can that not be a huge story?
That's exactly the question that Donald Trump is asking, and has put out some emailed statements and some other statements that have been put out by colleagues of his online, saying that this is a bigger scandal than Watergate and all the rest, and everybody's being quiet about it. So he's trying to raise a stink, but it hasn't gotten a lot of traction yet, and we'll have to see if there are further court filings. The special counsel's investigation is not over yet, and so has not been a definitive report that has been concluded at this point.
All right, Greg. Always interesting.
Right.
Thanks for filling us in on a lot of different aspects of the news.
Good to see you.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. Hope you enjoy yourself. Yep. Take a quick break. Come back. Are you familiar with Tinder?
Well, I haven't been on it.
No, we'll talk about Tinder and the blind date aspect of it.
Maybe that'll improve things.
All right, maybe.
It's that time of the year at the Springhouse in 84. It's Dairy Farm Tour time. That's right. We actually invite classes of school children to our real working dairy farm. The children love feeding the calf, milking the cow, and even seeing where the cows sleep and smelling what they eat. Many children today have never even touched a baby calf, nor have they associated the wonderful cow as the source of the milk that they get from the grocery store. At the Springhouse in 84, we are so committed to teaching children about farming and helping them understand how much the city mouse and the country mouse truly need each other. Call 228-3339 or have your child's teacher set up a date for your child's classroom farm tour, and let us share a little of our farm with you at the Springhouse in 84.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He created the Giza Dream Bed Sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for you. Hey, this is John Hall. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza, and his latest incredible deal is the sale of the year. For a limited time, you'll receive 60% off the Giza Dream Sheets that come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. You'll receive a set for as low as $39.99, and for a limited time with any purchase, you'll receive Mike's softcover book free when you use promo code WORD. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, and use promo code WORD. Along with this offer, you'll also get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow mattress topper, MyPillow towel sets, and so much more. Call 1-800-391-0954. Use the promo code WORD, or visit MyPillow.com. Use the promo code WORD.
McQueen Building Company. It's about our people, but it's what others say about us that we really want you to hear.
It was a pleasure working with McQueen. Everything we agreed on in the contract was done to my satisfaction. I'll certainly have them for any future projects and have recommended them to friends.
Jeff works hard, is committed to success, and willing to go above and beyond in his zeal for the best outcome. I highly recommend Jeff. His work ethic,
and his commitment to excellence.
McQueen Building Company. See our work for yourself at McQueenBuildingCompany.com.
Unjunk your sleep during the President's Day sale at Mattress Firm. Shop now and get a king bed for a queen price, plus a free adjustable base with purchase. Don't miss hot buys like beds starting at just $159.99, plus Tempur-Pedic savings.
We are everywhere on your radio at 101.5 WORD FM Pittsburgh, at wordfm.com, the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
We'll see a moonlit sky for tonight. Expect a nighttime low of 13. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies. Will reach a high tomorrow of 35. Tomorrow night, another moonlit sky on tap with a low of 27. Wednesday will be breezy with times of clouds and sunshine. It'll become noticeably milder with a high of 59. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
Okay, God bless anyone who's doing online dating.
Christy.
I mean, can you imagine?
Listen, I thought dating was emotionally taxing when I was doing it in person all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine if I was doing it online.
Right. Okay, so Tinder has announced today, because of course today is Valentine's Day, is that they have a new blind date feature where, so how does this work? You don't see each other's profiles, but you... Profile pictures. But then you engage in a couple of questions with each other. And Tinder will sort of like connect you based upon somewhat algorithm or something.
Okay.
And then they'll say, here, Phil, I will, it's okay to wear a shirt blank number of times.
Before you wash it.
Or I put ketchup on blank. So if you fill those out and then there's this commonality, then they put you together.
But so if he says fries 15, and I say fries, then we're matched up. I mean, that is like...
Or if you say, I never 15 times before I wash my shirt.
Right, then no one gets back to you on Tinder.
Well, I mean, you never know, right, people? And so then they put you together like in some sort of chat aspect, and then you do your little chat back and forth, and then at that point you have an option to see each other's profiles. So it's a blind date.
All right. Okay. So
I like it.
Okay, I like it too. So when you're thinking about blind dates, there's like the good part of the blind date and the bad part of the blind date.
I've never been on a blind date. Never once. Never. Have you, Christy?
No, never.
Good for you.
What?
You were on a blind date, Kat? How many blind dates? How many?
4.
Anything good?
No.
Never.
But outstanding stories.
But someone said who loves you, this is a good person. Mm-hmm. You would like this person. Mm-hmm. Someone was playing matchmaker.
Mm-hmm. 4 different people were playing matchmaker.
And nothing came of it.
Nothing, but great stories.
Okay.
Very, very uncomfortable time.
I am sure.
But extremely. Well, you know what? I should say one of my boyfriends actually did. It wasn't like a formal blind date like the other ones I'm thinking of, but it was kind of like a, hey, you know him, right? I don't really remember him. Well, you remember him. Well, you know what? He's going to be at my house Saturday, and then I did meet one of my boyfriends that way. So
he's going to be at my house, like you went there and
we're having a party.
So he's one of
right.
He wasn't like sitting on the couch waiting for you. Hey, I just happened to stop by and have a cookie.
No. So that was kind of a blind date. So 5.
Really? Mm-hmm. And nothing good, really?
Well, I did date that one guy for a year. So
year?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you had some success.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Christy.
But the ones that let's meet at a restaurant because this person set us up, that never worked. Christy?
I'd be a nervous wreck.
You've never had a blind date?
Never had a blind date.
Uh-huh.
Why? What is your... No one's ever hooked you up and said, hey.
People have tried to hook me up, but it's like we knew each other from church. So it was never like a...
Total blind date.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So, of course, the worst thing about the blind date is that it usually goes poorly and you're stuck.
Yeah.
There. Right.
Could you just do coffee? Blind coffee.
You could.
Right.
I can't believe you've never had a blind date.
Never. I told you I've only dated women who worked in the theater, so I knew who they were, which was great.
That is limiting if you think about it.
No, I think it was very healthy.
Okay.
It really was.
Good. You have to limit yourself somehow.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Okay. So Tinder. You were on Tinder, but now you're not.
I'm no longer on Tinder.
Why is that? Why is that?
People are just kind of gross.
Yeah.
Like, just men are just,
Men are gross.
Yeah. Just some inappropriate things that are like the first thing that they send to you.
God bless you. What?
That's horrible.
That's really a shame.
How do you find love amidst all that thing? Right? I mean, there's excellent people out there.
Yes, there are excellent people out there.
I go to church and you look around and you think there's all these like single women at church and there's very few single guys.
That's true. Do you find that at your church also, Christy?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Well, that's a belief.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know enough people to like know that they're fully.
Oh, sure. Because you're still kind of new there. Yeah, I would say definitely at my church there are more young women than young men by probably double.
Easily. I would say so too, right? And you think, oh my, how do you find that?
I don't know. It's really hard.
Not through the Tinder
but
dating
probably
app.
Tinder is not going to do it.
No. All right.
All right. Coming up next. So the TV show Friends is back. It's being shown in China. The only thing is that they've changed some significant items.
Oh, right. So China has censored Friends?
Of course. They censor everything. Why wouldn't they censor Friends?
All right. We'll talk about this next.
101.5 WORD.
She was giving me the ultrasound and she turned on the sound and my baby had a heartbeat. I have a baby inside of me.
You've heard that seeing is believing. That's certainly true when it comes to pregnancies. It's been shown that abortion-minded women who see their babies on an ultrasound are likely to have that baby. Today, you can provide a free ultrasound for a pregnant woman for just $28, the cost to save the life of a baby. So whether you want to save one or five or hundreds of babies, Word FM and Preborn are here to help. Call today, 833-850-BABY, or go to wordfm.com. If you're in the market for metal roofing, siding, and garage doors, Kaufman Metals in Bedford can meet your expectations with friendly professional service. Their equipment is right up to date with the newest technology and ready to produce your standard and customized metal panels and trims to your exact specifications for any project with the fastest turnaround in the industry. Plus, Kaufman Metals offers complete do-it-yourself building packages included with computer-generated drawings. Kaufman Metals also provides sales and service for CHI residential and commercial garage doors. They deliver any order, large or small, to any place with full-service rollback trucks and trailers with a Moffett forklift to set building packages conveniently close to your project. And just so you know, they offer contractors discounts as well. Visit KaufmanMetals.com or call 814-623-6044 or stop in at 6146 Lincoln Highway, Bedford, PA.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were yelling at another car while driving, let me say it again. You need to calm down. Yelling is just making everyone as stressed out as you are and letting them all know that you definitely aren't trying to save with Progressive Snapshot. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't yelling at another car, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.
And now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that non-contact thermometers are not accurate. They also have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
I have never watched an episode of Friends. Never.
How can that be?
I have no interest.
Christy,
I've watched the series like multiple times.
I can't believe that.
Yeah. It's a decade-long series, right?
No. It was 8 seasons, right?
It ran for 10 seasons.
Oh, no, I think it was 9.
Really? Okay.
I've never seen it, and
I cannot believe that.
I have no interest.
Do you hear people making jokes and you think, I have no idea what they're talking about?
I could care less. Seriously, I just don't care. I saw it like
Still not using it right, Joe.
No, I just see the original and I go, okay. Anyway, I'd be at home in Japan. Friends has returned to Chinese.
You mean in China?
In China.
Yeah.
Friends has returned to Chinese streaming services this month after a several-year absence, although with changes that have apparently upset Chinese fans. Scenes have been edited or removed, and the Chinese authorities say this is how it is. People have said the best thing to do if you're a fan in China of Friends is to buy the box set from someone out of the country, because that's not available as well. This is a common thing in China.
So if you're going to smuggle something in, I don't know if smuggling in Friends is the most important thing.
You'd be surprised.
So what did they change? Did they say in there? What?
You would things that like that talk about promiscuity, LGBTQ.
Really, those things have been.
They've been scrubbed.
Well, that's. I'm kind of surprised by that. Okay.
Friends aired on NBC from 1994 through 2004.
Oh, so it was 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So here's the deal.
What did you do for 10 years if you weren't watching Friends?
Oh, I had a good life.
Okay.
For decades, Chinese censors have demanded that scenes deemed sensitive or vulgar be cut from officially imported foreign films and TV shows. In one famous example, the 2007 Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End appeared in mainland theaters, missing roughly half of the scenes involving a villain played by Hong Kong actor Chow Yun-fat after censors decided that scenes made Chinese people look bad. An altered version.
Oh, so it wasn't that they were violent. Is that they made Chinese people look bad?
Chinese people look bad. Okay. Right? So apparently.
Because how much vulgarity was there in Friends? Like, I can't.
Well, apparently there's scenes that involve mostly LGBTQ, and that's been deemed unnecessary in Chinese culture.
In the
Chandler's dad. That's the only thing I could think of.
Or Ross's wife.
Or
Ross's ex-wife.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that was that was such a small portion of the show, like a minuscule portion of the show.
Scenes were edited. Okay, but I'm reading from Wall Street Journal article here. So there is a thing with Ross's wife, right, where someone said, "How do I just?" Let me see this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's being deleted.
This thing that we can't find is going to be deleted.
I had it, but it's gone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Does it make a difference? I guess it makes a difference.
Well, that's part of what makes his character what it is the fact that he had that experience.
Right.
That his wife left him for another woman.
Just be like me and don't watch it.
All right. I mean, it's not the number one thing I'm concerned about for the people of China.
Well, it's more censorship.
Wait, it is, right?
There are some decisions in life that just flat out determine whether the day will be good or bad. And one of those Mount Everest decisions for me is which ice cream to choose. How is a mere human able to walk into a tasty ice cream shop and choose from 7 perfect options? It's Ryan. And the reality is, deciding how to manage your mortgage is kind of similar. I had 2 radio listeners last month say, I've been wanting to know all the details of what a refinance or cash out refinance would look like for me, but I was embarrassed to ask and didn't want to feel pressured if I did. To which I say, we are a place that happily lets you taste test all the flavors. Guilt-free, no pressure, no judgment, and no follow-up unless you ask. It's very normal for us to provide what multiple refinance or cash-out options would exactly look like, and then let you decide, or even just walk out completely after the taste test. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. MLS number 1330. Department of Banking. Mortgage Lender License number 22672.
Angels Light Addiction Specialists is a beacon of hope for those struggling with substance use disorder. At Angels Light, recovery begins with the unique dignity and worth of every resident. Their small boutique treatment center approach allows a diverse and experienced staff to focus on putting people first and provide the high quality of structured, comprehensive care necessary to support big life changes. Angels Light Addiction Specialists. For immediate help, click Call Now on Facebook or visit inpatientaddiction.com.
I had a lady that was in her mid-70s, and I'd sold her timeshare, and that was the lowest I'd ever felt in my life. I knew then that I had to do something to simply not to go to hell for selling a timeshare.
Chuck McDowell founded Wesley Financial Group to help folks cancel their timeshares permanently.
Called her and everybody that I'd sold timeshare to, and I said, this is what I said to you that was a lie, and this is what you need to do to cancel your timeshare. From that point, people started referring friends to me to help them cancel the timeshare, and that's how it all started. I fought the world's largest timeshare company in federal court. If I had lost that lawsuit, there would be no one helping people that have been lied to when they bought timeshare. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare contract or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for a free information kit. 800-786-9300. That's 800-786-9300. 800-786-9300.
When it comes to your child's education, consistency is key. And in a world that's been anything but, parents have found an unshakable educational partner in Eden Christian Academy, where students experience an engaging, rock-solid Christian education at each of their 3 North Hills campuses, enabling them to thrive academically, spiritually, and socially. Schedule a personal tour today and see what a consistent, quality pre-K through 12th grade education can offer your child at EdenChristianAcademy.org.
When I got married, I was 24 years old, and I was young. I mean, I didn't...
24.
When I look back, I've never, and I mean this sincerely, I've never for a moment regretted who I married. Never. I mean, I would never, ever. It's just the best thing I ever did. But we were both so young when we got married. I mean, we didn't know anything about anything when we got married. But we met each other. We loved each other. We wanted to we got engaged in, less than 3 months.
That was that.
That was that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm the complete and total opposite of you. I got married, first and only time, at 39. Complete and total opposite. I don't regret it. I mean,
So that was the capstone, because you had your professional life.
Yeah.
You had achieved a certain degree of success.
Yeah, stability.
And you felt stable, and then you got married.
Yeah. No, I mean, it drove my family crazy. Every time they'd say, "When are you gonna," all these rumors, innuendos. Well, what's up with What's up with Johnny? Let's go. So I had to suffer through that whole crazy thing. But
with all your 5 sisters.
Yeah, I don't regret, and so I don't regret what I did at all. For me, it was the right and good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you wonder, though, I mean, is there some sort of negative aspersion on people who get married young?
Yeah, for sure. Because
there is.
Yeah, because I think the general culture tends to think that they're silly, immature, maybe they're codependent, and they don't value their education or career.
But clearly, that is not your life.
Exactly,
right?
but I think that would be the cultural assumption people would make.
We saw a piece in Christianity Today, don't dismiss the early marrieds. Brad Wilcox is here with us. Brad Wilcox is a non-resident senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, director of the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia. Hey, Brad, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here, John.
So you've got 2 living examples here on the air with you, one person who did it one way, another person who did it another way. Brad, based on your research, what do John and I represent?
Well, you touched on it before, but John is basically the capstone model of marriage, where you kind of get all your ducks in a row potentially, and then you get married. And yours is more the cornerstone model, where you kind of you get married young and grow together and kind of build a family and life together as a couple. And again, today the capstone model of marriage is more the pattern, and the cornerstone model is more the exception.
The exception, really. So it's the exception. Why, Brad? I mean, can you drill down into that? People are a little leery about being married early.
Well, I think, in the previous generation, there were, plenty of folks who got married in their early 20s and feel like they made a mistake, or they regret, that they didn't do more things before they tied the knot. And so often they've counseled their kids to kind of postpone marriage until they're around 30. And that's more of the cornerstone model of marriage that is, I think, dominant both in Christian and non-Christian circles. Today, when it comes to many of my students, to sort of get this idea from their parents, they should kind of wait until they're, around 28, 29, 30 before they get serious about someone. So that's a pretty common model out there today in the culture.
Right. Now, but when you look at the culture, we were talking about this in an earlier segment about, the hookup culture, Tinder dating and whatnot. I mean, that's a horror show to me. I can't imagine being someone
trying
in their
to navigate
20s.
that.
I mean, that's got to, I would think, it's got to propel people, I believe, in one way or another towards early marriage, because I want to avoid all that, or it's so overwhelming, I'm just going to delay it because it's just crazy out there.
Yeah, I think what we are seeing is that there are growing numbers of young adults who are not dating, not having sex, and then, of course, not marrying. And this is a pattern we've seen in other countries play out, like in Japan, for instance. And so the concern here is that we're not going to be just talking about postponement, but we're going to be talking about, going without, basically, foregoing marriage, I would estimate about a third of young adults today. So I think the new danger today is that young adults will kind of never get around to or never find, the right kind of person to marry and start a family with.
Right. Okay, so we see this, Brad, in our churches, right, where I look around the congregation and the number of single women far outweighs the number of single men. So with the National Marriage Project, I mean, I'm sure you think about that. You talk about this, about people of faith. How do they engage the dating culture differently than a secular world?
Well, I think, one thing that I would say is sort of, number one, kind of making it clear to people that kind of getting married in your 20s is a great thing, for people who have found a good partner. And so having a culture where, young adults, and I teach at a university, UVA, obviously, and our kind of local campus ministry is supportive of relatively younger marriage. So I think kind of basically giving people permission, if they have a level of maturity, obviously, and a deep and abiding love for one another, to sort of see, a 20-something marriage as a legitimate option for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's one key step that they can take. I think the second key step, too, is just having people be, intentional about their relationships and sort of seeing dating as an opportunity not just to have fun or hang out with someone, but also, as more importantly, as an opportunity to kind of test the waters for marriage, and sort of be thinking about, is this the kind of person who'd be a good spouse, a good parent, as one goes about, dating and being intentional too about not leading people on once you've kind of reached the conclusion that there's nothing here for a more long-term basis. So those are kind of two thoughts I'd have on that question.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Brad, early in our conversation, actually it's before you came on, John asked me what I thought the cultural narrative was, and why culturally Americans, I think, or people in the West, would look down on people who married young. And I said I think it's because they think that they don't value their education, they're not interested in career, maybe they're silly and sheltered, and want to marry early. But the survey results that you include in your article in CT seem to show the opposite.
Well, what we do see, I think, and of course today, getting married relatively young is more the exception. So I think what we're seeing today is that young adults actually do feel more mature and have a very clear sense of their love for one another, are the kinds of young adults today who are marrying in their 20s. Whereas, of course, if we were to kind of turn the clock back 30 years, I think there were a lot of younger marriages that took place between people who really weren't, great fits for one another and weren't that intentional. But that's, I think, not the case today. And so I think we also see kind of surprisingly in this new research that when it comes to relationship quality and sexual satisfaction, that people who are getting married relatively younger were more likely to be reporting happiness. Now, again, that may be just because in part they're the kinds of people today who are just, really either interested in marriage or really deeply committed to one another or something else. But the point here is that a lot of the stereotypes that we kind of ascribe to early marriage, no longer apply to folks who are getting married in their 20s, nowadays.
That's good. Okay, so, Brad, one of the most interesting things, you start off the piece in Christianity Today, most single American adults aspire to be married. To be honest, when I read that, I was surprised by that, because I would imagine, at least I would think, a lot of American adults who are single are thinking, well, living together is fine. Why do I have to worry about being married?
Well, it is true that the share of young adults today who are no longer interested in marriage is higher than it has been, probably ever, at least as I'm aware of, kind of polling data. But it's still the case that a majority of, single young adults would like to marry at some point. So marriage is still kind of the goal, the objective for a majority of young adults. But that, that kind of interest, that commitment has been eroding in recent years as marriage has kind of lost some of its sort of cultural power, in our society and its public authority as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so only 30 seconds left. Were you as a person or as a teacher encouraged by these findings or not?
Well, yeah, I am. I mean, I do think, I have kind of a message I can give to some of my students who are interested in getting married in their 20s now. It's encouraging. And I did find with another colleague also, too, that people get married in their early 20s without cohabiting, have a comparatively low risk of divorce as well. So I think, for people who are really intentional about marriage and relatively mature, we can kind of point them to this as a path that, is worth considering even in 2022.
Very good. Brad Wilcox, he joins us. He's the director of the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia. Don't diss the early marrieds. That's in Christianity Today. Thanks, Brad.
.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh. On your smart speaker by saying, play the word Pittsburgh. And on your phone via the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. A new legal filing from the special counsel John Durham says Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign paid an internet company to infiltrate servers at Trump Towers. Bob Agnew has more on that story.
The filing says the Clinton campaign infiltrated the servers in order to create the impressions of links between Donald Trump and Russia. Special counsel Durham has filed a motion in connection with Clinton campaign attorney Michael Sussman, who allegedly lied when presenting documents supposedly linking Trump to a Kremlin-owned bank just prior to the 2016 election. Former President Trump says the document, quote, provides indisputable evidence that my campaign and presidency were spied on by operatives paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign in an effort to develop a completely fabricated connection to Russia. Bob Agnew reporting.
And this is SRN News.
What if I told you you could save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people just like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant women and girls who might otherwise choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother who is abortion-minded the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. And a $15,000 gift will provide an ultrasound machine that will save lives for years to come. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a phone call or click away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or give online, preborn.org/radio.
How much do you have saved for retirement? Now, cut that number in half. That's the impact inflation could have on your retirement. Have you thought about that and how it will affect your retirement plans? If not, you should. Recently, inflation's been over 5%, but even at the historical average of 3%, the value of your savings could be cut in half in 20 years. So what can you do? Start by getting a free booklet from Kurt Knodik at Accurate Solutions Group. It will help you understand how inflation could impact you and show you simple ways to prepare for it. To get your copy of this free booklet from Kurt Knodik and the Accurate Solutions Group team, call or text inflation to 412-515-3555. That's inflation to 412-515-3555. Inflation, you can't stop it, but you may be able to minimize its impact on your retirement. Call or text inflation to 412-515-3555. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC, a registered investment advisory firm.
Windows are us. You tried the rest, now try the best.
When it's time to replace your roof, siding, gutters, and downspouts, entry doors, and of course windows, you can count on Windows R Us, the area's premier exterior replacement company. This is John Steigerwald. With over 50 years experience in the home remodeling industry, Windows R Us offers repair and replacement for all your exterior home projects. Why pay double with some other companies? Windows R Us will always give you the best price on the best in-class products, backed by the best warranties in the industry, all with zero sales pressure. And speaking of zero, right now get zero interest financing for 12 months and no processing fee with prices set to increase on all exterior products. Lock in your quote today. Schedule a free estimate and inspection today at WindowsRUsPittsburgh.com. You've tried the rest, now try the best. WindowsRUsPittsburgh.com.
Windows R Us. You've tried the rest, now try the best.
We'll see a moonlit sky for tonight. Expect a nighttime low of 13. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies. Will reach a high tomorrow of 35. Tomorrow night, another moonlit sky on tap with a low of 27. Wednesday will be breezy with times of clouds and sunshine. It'll become noticeably milder with a high of 59. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for coming along today. The 5 o'clock hour. The sun is so high in the sky.
I mean, it's not so high.
I mean, really. I mean,
it's higher.
It's very, it feels like great.
I'm not complaining because I think that we survived the darkest part of the year relatively well.
Yeah, so.
I mean.
And, right? I mean, winter's coming to a close here soon and very soon.
Well,
it is. It is coming to a close.
Last night, it's very. I'm doing renovations in my house.
How's that going?
I don't have anything to do with what's happening in my house, other than signing the checks, because Matt and his crew are doing all the work. But my whole first floor is back to studs, and there's no insulation in it. So my house is so cold.
Brr.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Okay, wait. Tell the story.
Really cold.
Wait, because you hired someone to come and blow insulation into your house.
Oh. Yeah,
That's
I talked about this on the air one day.
Did
we
you?
hired a company to do the kind of insulation that they poke holes in the outside of your house, and then they fill
it up.
They blow the foam insulation in, and it's supposed to do what it's supposed to do.
It's a blanket on your house.
So I think we paid maybe $4,000 for this. I want to say 5 years ago. Anyway, when they took all the walls out of our first floor because we were having changing the configuration of our floor plan, what did they find?
What?
The exterior walls might be 50% filled with foam. Might be. Some of the walls are probably 30% filled with foam, and the areas around the windows have nothing.
Get the heck out.
Nothing.
So, do you think that's like wholesale fraud or just incompetence?
No idea. How are you going to know?
So you contacted the people?
Yes, my husband contacted the people and said, "Hey, look, I have this photograph, and look what it shows." So we haven't heard anything back yet.
You haven't?
Nope.
You haven't heard anything back from these guys?
Why are they eager to get back to us? They cashed our check 5 years ago. You would think they would want to stand by their name and reputation, which I'm not going to share here on the air at this point.
We could.
We could, but I won't at this point.
I mean, what the heck?
Yeah,
you can't trust anybody to do anything.
And here's the thing. When that's happening... And we don't need to talk about this for long. But when that's happening, how are you going to verify it?
You can't.
You can't. You just assume.
It's not like it's like a little gas pump. You know that your tank is filled.
Right. Anyway, forget that because last night was the Super Bowl. Okay, what'd you guys think of the game? First off, the game. Christy?
I thought it was all right. I wasn't on the edge of my seat or anything.
Yeah, I feel the same.
I was on the edge of my seat at the end, weren't you?
No.
You didn't count like with all those calls, you mean?
The bad calls.
No, I just meant the last two plays when they went for it on fourth down at the end. And no?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there was some excitement there. I was wishing Ben was our guy, and Ben was, because Ben would have made it work.
Oh, instead of Joe Burrow?
Oh, yeah, he would have made it work.
I think, I don't.
In his prime, Ben would have crushed that. He would have.
Well, first of all, there's no way you can know that.
I'm just saying.
But
that's what I was thinking of.
But when Aaron Donald is on the other side, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, that's
okay. What'd you think about
Pride of Penn
MVP?
Hills.
What'd you think about MVP?
Aaron Donald should have been MVP.
Did you think?
I agree.
Okay. So did you read today about how, I'm not sure what the truth on this is because there's a lot of information out there right now. So we kind of need to let it settle out. But the people who are voting for MVP need turn in their ballots 2 minutes before the game is over.
Why?
Why do they do that?
They've got all this time to fart around.
So I don't know if it's because that they want to turn it in early so they can get down and get their stories on the field, or whoever's tabulated. There's only 17 votes.
What if at the last second, there was a James Harrison style run back?
Well, that's what happened,
Right?
But first of all, I think that Cooper Kupp is deserving
Of course,
it. He had a
fabulous.
terrific game. I'm not arguing at all with that. I think it's well deserved. But if you were voting at the very end of the game, wouldn't you say it was Aaron Donald?
Yeah, 100%. No doubt.
I mean, the last two downs, he controlled. He's the reason why the Rams won that game at the
100%.
end. At
Weren't
the
you
very
surprised
end.
they threw a pass?
Well,
They
yeah,
were just going to do a quick run. I mean, they've been running on those guys all game
Right.
long.
I don't know. There were a lot of things that the Bengals did that I didn't understand.
Yeah, me too. That's why they lost.
I guess so.
Right. Anyway, I enjoyed the
I
game.
thought it was a really good game. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm watching it again tonight.
What? No way.
Yeah.
Not me.
No,
I'm watching
it
a
again
movie or
tonight.
something.
No, I'm watching it again tonight.
Okay, what about halftime? Because halftime was very divisive for a lot of people.
halftime.
I thought it was great.
I didn't have a problem with halftime. Some people are like hating on halftime. Here's okay. Let me just say this: I'm watching all the commercials. Tommy Lee Jones basically summed up the entire experience for me.
hilarious.
Okay, so on the Toyota Tacoma commercial, and there's all about the Joneses.
All the Joneses.
And Tommy Lee Jones looks over and sees one of the Jonas brothers, who I could fall over the guy and didn't know what, and he says, "Try to keep up, whoever you are." And I thought, that's my sort of Super Bowl experience. For the most part, I don't know hip hop. I don't know R&B.
That's
but
not my thing
I
either.
see
But at
Snoop
least
out there and
yeah.
all those guys, and I think, whatever, your time to shine, right? Whatever. Some people are going, oh, it was racist or all this. You heard how many different things did you hear about that?
First off, I thought it was a lot. If people were concerned about decency, it was a lot more decent than like when it was Shakira and Jennifer Lopez
shaking it.
Okay. The second thing is I liked how it looked. I liked the setup of like the staging of it and different acts happening in different
design,
places. Snoop was hilarious. He makes me laugh whenever I see him. I thought the whole thing was fun.
Yeah.
Other than the 50 Cent part with all of the, him surrounded by 60 women, which is ridiculous.
I mean, isn't that what rap is?
Yeah, but the rest of it I thought was really fun. Yeah. And you know what else I thought in the middle of it? Is that this is what Major League Baseball is missing.
Oh.
Major League Baseball
Like everything.
has no connection to Black America and to Black America.
Yeah.
Right? So there are white players and there are Hispanic players, but there are fewer and fewer Black players every year because they have no connection to that community.
Right.
I felt like the NFL was celebrating their connection to the Black community in America.
I agree.
I thought it was great.
I don't get it. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to watch it again.
I'm watching it again. Okay, but wait, can we talk about commercials?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, yeah.
Favorite or something you hated or something you liked?
There was a lot to hate. What surprised me just overall, in a general way, is that there was not a lot of creativity in this year's
I didn't think they were
commercials.
very good. Did you think
they
so?
were
They were
flat.
horrible, yeah.
Yeah.
They were really flat. Do you think all those creative minds, all that money, and this is the best you came up with? How many sort of time travel things did we have to do? I mean, even the best of the commercials were just kind of meh to me. Early on, I liked the Ian McGregor spot. Where that was
a good one. That
Expedia.
was Expedia. That was a good one.
I mean,
that was about.
Cool.
Are you valuing are you going to
when you die?
Are you going to regret the things that you didn't buy or the things you didn't see?
That was a great message, right? He opens the door and there's the beach, and I go, "You got me, my friend. I'm right there with you." Yeah. How about Arnold Schwarzenegger in the BMW? He's Zeus. Right?
I missed it.
That was okay. It was fun.
Yeah.
That was big productions, a lot of money there. How about the Coinbase thing with the
QR code?
Yeah.
What
that annoyed me. I am not walking up to my TV with my phone.
was funny.
I just zoomed in, so everybody was yelling at me because I was on my phone. So I zoomed in, and apparently the website crashed. It couldn't handle all the traffic.
Oh, that's cool. I laughed. I thought it was funny. It's just kind of a weird little.
The Polestar one I thought was terrific. That's the new electric car. It just had the words. next to the
Very
car.
spare,
It was
very
very
clean.
spare. It just had the word. As soon as it started, my husband and my daughter and I were like, well, what is this? It kept our attention the whole 30.
Yeah.
And I just, by the end, I was like, we all said, that's a great ad.
That's cool. Okay. How about the Michelob ad? Now, there were several Michelob ads, but the one...
horse?
No, the Michelob ad with the bowling alley with Steve Buscemi.
Peyton Manning and Serena Williams.
Serena shows up at the end. I mean, that was a pretty good ad.
I
Yeah.
like that.
I'd say the best ad for me, just because it was funny and unusual and it was a surprise, was the Barbie Rocket Mortgage ad. That was very well done.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? I mean, because she called out the home flippers.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody kind of...
The bad neighborhood.
Right. Everybody kind of nodded and went, oh, yeah, I get that. You know?
I like that, too. My favorite one, though, has to be the Pringles.
Oh, the Pringles.
The guy who gets his hand stuck in the Pringles thing. I mean, that was very funny.
Very funny.
But wait, the other one I loved was the one about the Clydesdale journey, the horse that gets hurt.
Oh, right.
And his friend, who's the dog, is like scared for him.
Oh, yeah.
And the human is scared for him. And then the Clydesdale comes. I mean, I was such a sucker for it.
Very good.
I loved it.
Okay, so...
You didn't like that very much.
It was
You're
just
giving
okay.
it short shrift.
I am.
Fine.
Please tell me about The Rock. What was The Rock being the hype man? What was that all about?
It was a little cheesy.
All I could think of is, how is your waist that small?
No,
I didn't even hear what he said. I was like,
his forearms are bigger than my head.
his waist is like the size of my wrist. What is happening?
Rock is cool. He's very likable.
He did a great job with what he was given. Like
Yeah.
he really lived into it.
He did,
completely.
yeah.
I'm just not sure why we had to do that.
I don't know. The whole thing.
But he can do no wrong,
No.
right? There's no.
No,
He can
I
do
like him.
whatever he wants. He can show up for anything and will be perpetually loved.
In today's society, we need people like that.
Right, exactly.
Right? Where everybody's on board and you go, oh, there's The Rock.
Were
We
you
dig him.
not shocked by his waist?
It's gigantic.
No, because I feel like I've seen him. He's in everything.
It's unnatural. It's
Rock is the
shocking.
male equivalent of the Barbie doll.
He is.
story.
It's,
Siri, I
it's
mean-
hard to believe he doesn't fall over when he stands up.
You got that right. Okay, take a quick break. Come back. Coming back to
Children who belong.
Who Belongs. We'll find that out next. It's The Ride Home, Pittsburgh's Christian Talk here on Word FM.
WORD.
Once I figured out, it was a little boy, then I heard his heartbeat, like I just cried. You guys helped me make my mind up.
You've heard that seeing is believing. That's certainly true when it comes to pregnancies. It's been shown that abortion-minded women who see their babies on an ultrasound are likely to have that baby. Today, you can provide a free ultrasound for a pregnant woman for just $28, the cost to save the life of a baby. So whether you want to save one or 5 or hundreds of babies, Word FM and Preborn are here to help. Call today, 833-850-BABY, or go to wordfm.com.
My son is in the 2nd grade at our local public school, and yet somehow he gets to attend a Bible class during his school day because of LifeWise Academy.
We're seeing public school students from urban, rural, and suburban communities who have never heard the basic stories of how Jesus came to rescue us.
Hey Word FM listeners, I'm Joel Penton, founder of LifeWise Academy, and we bring Bible education to public school students during the school day. Believe it or not, in 1952, the Supreme Court ruled that students can actually be released from public school during school hours to receive religious instruction. However, almost no one knows it's possible. LifeWise Academy provides the structure and tools for local communities to put to work. This program is taking off nationwide, and our kids' futures are being changed. Would you consider leading the charge to start a LifeWise in your neighborhood school? The first step is to voice your support at lifewiseacademy.org.
I was 11 years old at my first national championships. I fell, I don't know how many times.
Michelle Kwan is the most decorated figure skater in U.S. history.
When I had a dream, my dream came true because I dedicated myself.
Dedication made Michelle Kwan a champion.
I was passionate about something and I made sure that I worked hard for it.
And dedication can make your dreams a reality.
Whatever your dream and goals are, they can come true.
Dedication. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Hi, this is Joe Belanti with J&D Waterproofing at 1-800-VERY-DRY. In honor of our 81 years serving the tri-state area, we are offering great savings for all our new and past customers. Call 1-800-VERY-DRY. That's 1-800-VERY-DRY to get your savings on basement waterproofing, bowing or cracking walls, and or footer stabilization projects. Or visit us at jdwaterproofing.com. J&D Waterproofing, family owned and operated since 1939.
As a veteran media sales professional, a six-figure income is within your reach. I'm Andrew Pawaski, General Sales Manager of Word FM. Here at Salem Media Pittsburgh, we offer highly experienced sales and marketing professionals like you all the support and tools necessary to reach your earning potential through custom on-air campaigns, unique events, and over 50 social media and digital products. To learn more about our open position, please email me at andrew@salempittsburgh.com. Salem Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Kath and I are sort of in the similar boat in that our kids are pretty much on the way out, right? We're close to being truly empty nesters.
Yeah.
Which has been a fabulously strange, exhausting,
right,
maddening, delightful, funny, crazy journey all those years. But, now you see your kids in a whole other light when they're, in their 20s and they're, hey,
right.
See you guys. We talk to them, enough, but it's not like we're joined at the hip or the head like they used to be.
Right. Or we have to be the ones preserving their life and limb.
Everything depends upon us. So it's been a weird transition. So you wonder about that, about, you and your relationship with your kids. That's why we saw this piece from Hannah Anderson. Hannah's a friend of ours. We follow her closely on Twitter. We love the work that she does. She's written several books, Made for More, All That's Good, and Humble Roots, How Humility Grounds and Nourishes Your Soul. But she wrote a piece about children who belong. And Hannah, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, Hannah, I saw this article because I realized that you and John and I were all reading the same book or had read the same book by our friend Alan Noble, You Are Not Your Own. And Alan was on the show. We talked about it for a good long period of time, Hannah. And I would say for people who haven't read it, where it starts or where it goes is that we belong to God, but our world is becoming increasingly inhumane. And so what does that mean? How does that, flesh things out in our work and in our worship and in our relationships and in how we think about ourselves? But you turned it to how it is that we would raise children. So we want to raise whole children and healthy kids. But we have to do that recognizing what kind of world we're raising them in. So Hannah, talk about that as a starting place. How old are your kids and how are you thinking through these things with them now?
Absolutely. As you said, Kathy, Alan's book is about kind of recovering this vision of ourselves and our lives as belonging to God, contrary to a world that's always asking us to self-create or to become something more to kind of validate our presence in the world, that we always have to be enough. And I was reading through his book, fantastic book, and it sparked a lot of thoughts for me as a mother. My children seem to get older every year, so I now have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 12-year-old. But this kind of coincided with my daughter starting to apply for colleges. And I saw this culture that was kind of coming to a head for her in terms of, are you going to be enough? Are you going to be able to get into these schools? Have you done enough self-creation over the course of your high school experience that you will now be validated by a slot at whatever school? And, obviously there's a level of inherent just good competition, but I also saw her struggling to understand if she had done enough. And reading Alan's book kind of opened that question up even further for me as parents watching children kind of grow up in this inhumane world. What are we even trying to do? How would I enter into her sense of struggle in those moments of saying, have I created enough to validate my presence in this world? And it just made me really think about how God receives us, what it means for us to belong to God, not just as parents and people, but then to teach our children that ultimately their safety and security is being God's children, not that they have become something that would then say they were good enough.
Yeah. I mean, Hannah, that's fabulous. I take that 100% because this conversation, it kind of slapped me in my face because I remember having a conversation with my oldest kid a few years ago, and I was kind of going off on, your career and yada, 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 and blah, 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 and what about you? And he was like, Dad, that thing that you created, that's your thing. He said, I don't necessarily need to have like some giant career. He said, really what I want is my friends, maybe I'll get married, but, I'll have my relationship with God, and that's enough for me. I just want to be happy.
That's so interesting. That's your thing that you have for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he put me in my place, and I was like, it stopped me in my tracks because I never, as a guy, thought that way, but he was telling me just to back off.
Mm. And I've had similar experiences with my own daughter, one in my mind saying, well, I want to give you opportunities maybe that I didn't have or that I would have liked to have. But what I've found I was doing often was giving her my self-expression or my opportunities. And what we worked through and reframed was the question, what does God have for you? Who has he made you to be? Mm-hmm. You belong to him. He has given you gifts and capacities. Let's discover those together. And as your parent, I'm going to come along and I'm going to help you mature into whatever God is calling you to. And that's not to say we don't parent our children toward excellence or maturity, but we redefine what that is. And we're defining it in terms of God has made you, you belong to him. What would it look like to discover what that means together?
Hannah Anderson is with us, author of Made for More, All That's Good and Humble Roots, How Humility Grounds and Nourishes Your Soul. We're talking about the idea of raising kids that are whole in an increasingly fragmented society. And Hannah, that's one of the things that kept coming to my mind as I was reading Alan's book, and of course it's a subject that he talks about often in there, is how when we feel like our future, whether it's your daughter going to college or John's son trying to look at the next step of, being gainfully employed or whatever it is, if it's all up to us, as our culture keeps telling us, that's a terrifying place to be. No wonder our culture is in the grip of depression and anxiety and everything else, because so much rests on our decision, our choosing.
Absolutely. And I think we as parents sometimes feel that in relationship to our kids, because one of the things we feel that we're being judged by is, have I done a good job as a parent? And so if we are operating within that sense of self-creation, have I done enough? Have I created the right child? Then we kind of pass that on generationally as well, where our performance as parents shapes what we're actually doing with our children. And as Alan points out, the way the gospel comes into that is to remove that pressure and to say, you belong to God. And we parent out of obedience, we parent out of love. We are entrusted with these beautiful image bearers, but our performance even there is not what creates us or creates them. We have been made by a loving Heavenly Father who's calling us into something bigger.
Yeah, I get that, right? I mean, I'm all for that. But at the same time, I think, remember not that long ago, the SAT scandal. I mean, parents were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their kids into elite universities because everybody wants the absolute best for their kid at the least amount of pain. Right? Open up the door and go and live your life. And I've paved the way for you to make it easier. But of course, everybody who's an adult knows it doesn't work that way. And pain is essential to live a good life in many ways.
Right. Your children are going to face pain, whether it comes from having to just learn how to work hard and carry the burdens, whether it means living in a broken world or other people causing them pain. And so I think what we are calling them to then is not a life of success or self-creation, but are you going to be mature enough to have your identity stable enough in God so that when you encounter the hard work, you're going to still do it. When you encounter the suffering, God's going to lead you through it. And so it's not in any way that we aren't calling our children to hard things or we're coddling them. It's just we're reshaping. Your identity is not in your success or in your getting into this school or your performance. You're being held safe by God. And out of that identity, you're going to mature and you're going to grow into the goodness that he has for you.
And listen, that's going to set you apart. If you're I'm talking to the child here, that's going to set you apart from your culture in so many ways. Not that you're going to skate through, not that you're going to need therapy, that you're not going to need therapy, or that you're going to not have any problems. But there is something intrinsically different about believing that you belong to a good God than that you are a pinball that's just being, knocked around by it. It is a completely different way of waking up in the morning. It just is.
Absolutely. And your work takes on different meaning, and the things that you pursue take on different meaning because you're being called into them by him, not to differentiate yourself or to get ahead or to be a success in this world, but that's because what he has given you to do, and he's going to walk with you through them.
Right. Now, look, I hear the two of you talking. I didn't know that at 17. I didn't know that at 22. I didn't know that at 25.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure that out.
And I think a lot of us as parents are learning while we're parenting.
Sure.
And that can feel very discouraging because I know I started the college process out with my daughter one way, and God has transformed me in the midst of it, where I really regret the way I kind of maybe pushed and said, this is what we're trying to do. But it's been a transformative thing, reading Alan's book, kind of reflecting to say, wait a minute, we pull back and remember we're safe with God. Whatever he brings through this process, he's bringing it. We're just showing up to what he's calling us to.
Yeah, and that is a hard thing to remember when there's tension. Especially when you've got deadlines, you have to apply to that school by this date and you have to have your transcript there by this date. All of a sudden, when those deadlines come around, or at least I remember when we were going through this process with our kids, it was like,
here it is.
Here it is, right? And there's no moment to reflect on, isn't God good? Aren't we secure?
Let's go. Falling off a cliff.
There is still a moment to be the mature one and to say, this needs to be submitted tonight. Yeah. Do it. Sit down. Right. Because again, our children are not mature. When we say that we receive them as belonging to God, or we receive their full humanity, we're not saying they are fully wise and fully mature and don't have room for instruction. That's why God gave them parents. Right. We are there to do a job. But it's also this call to say, sit down, do this now. This is your responsibility given to you by God, but the results are in his hands.
Okay, so Hannah, so then you said the journey changed. It started out one way, it came to another way. You realized that. When you realized that, were you able to pass that along to your daughter?
Yeah, I hope so. I did. I've talked with her about that. I've apologized to her for the intensity that I brought at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I've shared with her what's changed in my thinking, how I'm approaching it now, tried to open up a little more space in terms of let's figure out what you do well and what is the place that God has for you. And given a little more margin, I hope. But we've had that conversation, and she seems to be a lot more relaxed in it. Of course, at this point, we're past the deadlines, so that helps as well.
Right. Yeah, it's what's done is done, right?
The level of angst, at least, their level of emotion can go down a bit.
No, but that's a good gift. I mean, really. I mean, you're able to do that and to apologize along the way.
It's a wonderful thing to apologize to your kids. I think it's one of the healthiest things that a parent can do.
They do get taken off guard by it sometimes, and I have to affirm it and say, yes, I actually am apologizing.
Right. Yeah, of course. I know this is shocking to you, but I just want you to know I realize I screwed up.
Right, I do apologize.
But it just reinforces the idea, Hannah, that you've been getting at, which is that if I am submitting myself to God, and I'm telling you as my child to submit yourself to God, I have to recognize when I've fallen short, and we're in this together.
That's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Hannah, before you leave us, take a second. I'm always wondering about a writer like yourself. I mean, you write very intentionally. You produce a lot of quality work. What is that like for you, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 17-year-old? How does that all work in your life?
Well, I'll tell you about this last season. For the last, 6 to 8 weeks, I've been up to my ears in a book project with a deadline. And my children have learned this is a season, and we'll see mom in about 2 or 3 weeks after she's done. And everybody in the family pitches in. And one thing we've tried to cultivate is an understanding that whatever we're called to, any member of the family is called to something, that we're all called to it together. So whether it's children have something at school, the whole family is supporting that, whether it's dad's work, whether it's mom's work. And whenever someone has a moment of intensity or pressure, as I've had over the last few weeks, everyone kind of rallies and understands that this is for a season and it's time to put the full force of the family's support behind this one person. And that will shift in various seasons. But I love the idea. I hope this will turn out okay, that they'll grow up and tell these stories to my grandchildren and laugh at me and say, I remember when mom wrote books and we didn't see her for weeks, or something to that effect. But we do take it on as a family calling, and I think that's really the only way that it would work.
That's great.
It's very healthy.
That's great. Well, it's good to talk to you again, Hannah.
Yeah, it was good to talk to you both.
Our pleasure. Hannah Anderson, like we said, she's working on multiple things. Humble Roots, How Humility Grounds and Nourishes Your Soul, and All That's Good. Just love her. You can follow her on Twitter, Hannah Anderson.
Angels Light Addiction Specialists is a beacon of hope for those struggling with substance use disorder. At Angels Light, recovery begins with the unique dignity and worth of every resident. Their small boutique treatment center approach allows a diverse and experienced staff to focus on putting people first and provide the high quality of structured, comprehensive care necessary to support big life changes. Angels Light Addiction Specialists. For immediate help, click Call Now on Facebook or visit inpatientaddiction.com.
You know, your mom always used to say, listen, be careful about the company you keep, right? Because who you hang out with really defines in many ways who you are. Well, when you look at Grove City College, the community of students who call this place home, I believe is really something special because Grovers care about and for each other. And there's more than 150 student organizations that will prove that every day. Also, you just got to look at the alumni, the Grover alumni. It's gigantic. And they care for each other decades after they've graduated from Grove City College. So if your child is looking for next year or in the near future, I'd recommend you look at Grove City College because the company you keep is really quite excellent.
What about the company you keep, John, as far as the people who are teaching you or the people who are advising you? Or the people that are kind of helping you figure out yourself over 4 years. You know, that's, I think, probably just as important as your peers, right? Especially when you're between 18 and 22 and you're trying to figure out what life is about and how you can fit in and what your career path is like and what your gifting is. The faculty that are there to advise at Grove City College are truly outstanding. They're people with big minds and big hearts. And your child might end up a different person because of the mentorship they could have at a place like Grove City.
Look at Grove City College, a classical campus 1 hour from Pittsburgh, gcc.edu.
You're not who you were 25 years ago. Your life's more complex. People change, families change, and the law changes. This is Jay Hagerman of Abernathy & Hagerman, and a proper estate plan should keep up with those changes. That's why Abernathy & Hagerman presents free ongoing estate planning workshops with attorney Dan Reimer, someone who's really good at making complex concepts sound so simple, so you can protect what's yours and to ensure that your will is done. The next one's happening soon. For details and to attend, visit a-h.law.
Listen on your smart speaker at wordfm.com, the Word FM app, iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. In your car or at home, too, at 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.
You are not your diagnosis.
And vision loss does not define you.
Your drive defines you.
And we are here to let those challenged with blinding retinal diseases know
that we are driven too.
To be a beacon of strength,
a champion of courage,
an advocate for hope.
And we are stronger together.
We fund.
We fight.
We win.
We are the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
We'll see a moonlit sky for tonight. Expect a nighttime low of 13. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies. Will reach a high tomorrow of 35. Tomorrow night, another moonlit sky on tap with a low of 27. Wednesday will be breezy with times of clouds and sunshine. It'll become noticeably milder with a high of 59. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
this make sense?
Does what make sense?
Curtains.
Oh, very interesting you bring this up. Curtains in your bedroom make sense.
Okay.
Curtains in your living space make no sense to me whatsoever. I want light flooding in. I don't care about some voyeur. I just want sunlight as much as possible, all day, every day. So they don't make a lot of sense to me. It's like sheer curtains, and then the thing on top of the sheers, and then the valiance up top, the curtain rod, all that window dressing stuff. And I know people love that stuff. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Well, you sound very certain about it.
It doesn't make sense to me. For some privacy in your bedroom, of course.
You're completely wrong.
What?
You're completely wrong.
All that fashion stuff going on there.
I'm not saying it's fashion. I'm saying that there's some basic elements, A, of design, and B, of decency. Do you really want people watching you walking around your living room? Do you really want people watching you walk around your living room?
You know what people are doing?
What?
They're too busy to look at you walking into the living room.
You hope they are, since you don't have any curtains.
Were you eavesdropping on your husband or mine?
No, a little, maybe.
You heard that conversation?
I heard the tail end of it.
I was over at your house on Saturday. We had that conversation standing in front of a window, and we were like, and your husband was like, I don't mean to diss Kath, but, and then he did.
It's fine, because I can take it.
And he described it. I got the sheer. I got the other thing. It's a wall. You can't. Why bother even to have a window?
Oh, for heaven's sake. But you know why? Because I don't want people looking at what I'm doing inside my house, John. That's why.
They're too busy doing other things. You say, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It does make sense to me.
Okay, I was in Giant Eagle the other day. I was buying some syrup. What is the deal with the bottles of syrup and the little handle? Why would you even have a handle on a bottle of syrup? That doesn't make any... Does anybody use the handle on the bottle of syrup? I don't think so. It makes no sense at all. It's ridiculous. It's like some design feature that they put in there. And I think it feels like every syrup manufacturer has the little handle, as though it's like some sort of cute thing or something, or like nostalgia. Why? It doesn't make it... I can hold it with my hand. I don't need a little ding. It's like having a handle on a pot holder. Really, why do I need a little handle on a pot holder? It's the same thing. Handles are useless in those kind of situations.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, does it make sense?
Time's almost done. I like the handle.
Oh.
And plus, I also pronounce it syrup.
What did I say? Syrup. You say potato.
I say potato. And curtains are good.
Curtains don't make sense.
No,
Handles on syrup bottles don't make sense either.
101.5 WORD.
God didn't exactly ease young Samuel into his new role as the next prophet of Israel. Hear the shocking message he had to deliver in his very first assignment and find out how providence made it all possible. Study with us this week on Truth for Life with Alistair Begg.
Tomorrow morning at 6 on 101.5 WORD.
My grandma makes fried chicken that is simply the world's best. But sometimes she'll say, I didn't get that batch just perfect. To me, a little bit less than the world's best still tastes like the world's best. It's Ryan, and that's kind of how I feel about all this interest rate hubbub right now. The internet wants to make it feel like the sky is falling. And sure, rates might come up a bit this year, but a small move up from historically the lowest the world has ever seen is still some tasty fried chicken. I worked with a radio listener this week and gave him 5 different refinance and cash out refinance options. Because rates were still great and because home values have gone sky high, he was able to pull out a significant amount of cash from his home, and his mortgage payment and years on the loan didn't change at all. They're going to use the cash to pay off some debt, take a special vacation, and save the rest for peace in their brains. If you're curious what your specific options would be, we are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. MLS number 1330. Department of Banking. Mortgage Lender License number 22672.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if, like a lot of people, you just have a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. It's a Christian healthcare sharing program. There are more than 400,000 members now, and they love it. In fact, Medishare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to that of health insurance. And Medishare really is the gold standard when it comes to healthcare sharing. It's been around more than 25 years. Members have shared more than 4 billion hours of each other's medical bills. Plus, Medishare is for you. It has saved its members billions by advocating on their behalf. Best of all, the typical savings for a family is around $6,000 a year. So if you think you're stuck with a high-cost health plan that doesn't have much to offer, think again. Medishare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and you are invited to be part of it. Call now. 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
McQueen Building Company. It's about our people, but it's what others say about us that we really want you to hear.
It was a pleasure working with McQueen. Everything we agreed on in the contract was done and done to my satisfaction. I'll certainly have them for any future projects and have recommended them to friends.
Jeff works hard, is committed to success, and willing to go above and beyond in his zeal for the best outcome. I highly recommend Jeff, his work ethic, and his commitment to excellence.
McQueen Building Company. See our work for yourself at McQueenBuildingCompany.com.
Valentine's Day. Oh, wait. I saw something today. Someone on Facebook said, I don't ever want to speak to anybody who pronounces it Valentine's.
Oh, Valentine's Day. I love that.
It just gets corrupted. It doesn't bother me either way, but it is Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm, it is.
How'd you meet your husband?
I was playing a prostitute in the church play.
Oh, well, isn't that romantic?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, okay. That says something about... Wait, so you're in a church play and your husband's in the audience going, there's my lady.
That's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what happened.
And what? He approached you after the performance?
He approached me after we were doing the life of Hosea, the prophet Hosea, and I was the wayward wife, Gomer, who sells herself into prostitution.
Gomer.
And he came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Hi, I'm Eric." And he... I had heard previous to this moment, someone at the church said, "Hey, have you met that Puerto Rican guy?" And I said, "No, I haven't met the Puerto Rican guy." And then, we talked about other things. Anyway, so when my husband came up to me, he's Swedish, first of all. He's not Puerto Rican. But he had a landscaping job, and he was very, very tan.
Yeah.
Very tan. And he's also very strong, and he had a buzz cut.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he must be the Puerto Rican guy. And he looks like he's like a Marine. So I called him the Puerto Rican Marine. Meanwhile, he's like a musician from
Sweden.
Talk about first impressions that don't pan out.
Yeah. No, see,
Anyway.
if you were on Tinder, you would have swiped right by him. Right? Puerto Rican Marine,
Oh,
nope,
my
Swedish
gosh.
musician. Very nice. Well,
Yeah, that's how we met. But we didn't date for another couple of years after that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't pull the trigger on that.
He tried.
Oh, you would have none of that.
Yeah,
You were
no.
otherwise occupied.
I was.
All right, okay. Hey, so we have a limited time. Does anybody have a good story about how they met their spouse? 800-320-8255, 800-320-8255.
Mm-hmm.
I met my wife on Thanksgiving Day. I had just left New York City. Like, I'd been there for a decade. And my best friend said, "Hey, come on up. We're having some friends over for Thanksgiving. Just come on back. We'd like to see you." So I did. And these people were all made handsome livings on Broadway, and they pooled together their money, and they bought this is crazy, actors bought a second house, like outside of the city. So I drove up there. I happened to go back to the city because I wasn't living there anymore. There's a big change there. I knocked on the door, and this young woman opens the door, and she's like, "Hi, I'm Rhonda." And I was like, "I bet you are."
That's a great response.
I bet you are. And we were off to the races pretty much there after that.
So how long from that day until you became engaged?
A while, actually. Maybe like a year and a half. Yeah.
Were you dating the whole time, or did you just know each other?
I was dating. Yeah, I was dating. She was dating.
I was dating, but she wasn't.
She was dating me. But it's weird because we were dating, long distance, New York City, which is crazy.
So you weren't in New York, but she was.
Yeah, which was crazy. So, but eventually we were like, okay, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? How long?
Well, we were friends for a couple years. And then once we started dating, we only dated for 3 months before we got engaged.
When you were friends, did you hang out with other people?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that helped?
I think it did help.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really helped because I had had a string of dating people who were just not particularly kind, nice people.
Dating people.
Dating men who were not.
Who were jerks.
Kind of.
That's surprising, isn't it? The men could be jerks in
It is
dating
surprising. You've
relationships.
never experienced anything like that, have you,
No,
Christy?
of course not. Right.
Nothing like that at all.
Nothing. No.
But I kept being attracted to the same type of person who would end up kind of doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And someone stepped in who was in a counselor position in my life. Not an actual therapist, because that was before I ever did that officially, but someone who was working at my church stepped in and said, you realize if you keep on doing what you're doing, dating the kind of people you're dating, you're going to end up in a miserable marriage.
So you were making bad choices.
Consistently over many years.
But then because of the advice of a good friend who saw you from the outside and then also saw Eric.
And said, there's this perfectly good guy who's been wanting to date you all this time and you won't even give him a chance. What is why? What's wrong with you? And I was so mad. And it was only
you were
like,
mad at the person who gave you this advice?
Very much.
How dare you?
Yes.
Like I'm broken somehow.
Yes. And then I walked out. I was on Pitt's campus. I walked down on Fifth Avenue and I walked 2 blocks. And I thought, he's right. It came to me that fast. It was like him. I was angry for a very short time. And then all of a sudden it was like so clear. Like, what was I doing?
And so then did you ask him out?
No. I just decided to stop being, the cold fish that I'd been for the prior 2 years.
And then how long did did he say, hey, come on?
He said to me, I'm going on vacation. And I said, oh, okay. I think I'm going away for a week. And he said, yeah, I'm going to be gone for about 3 months. And I was like, oh, really? He said, yeah, I'm a teacher. And I said, who are you going on vacation with? He said, oh, I'm just going by myself. And I thought, well, that's interesting. It's like, says a lot about a person that they'd vacation alone for that length of time.
Comfortable with themselves.
And so he said, maybe I'll see you when I get back. And then about a month into that, I was like, I kind of miss that guy. I wonder what he's doing on his 3-month vacation by himself.
And there were no emails then?
No.
And then what?
And then when he came back in September, he called me and I was like,
Hey,
all of a sudden it seemed like it was a date then. And then all my roommates, I was living with 5 girls at the time, they were like, this looks like Kathy's going on a date.
What if in the interim he had met somebody else?
Wouldn't that be terrible?
But you blew it.
Wouldn't, and I would.
Timing
I
is
probably
everything.
would have really thought that I blew it because I would have blown it.
Right? The one that got away, right?
Yep.
The one that got away.
Yeah. But
everything worked out?
Never looked back.
Never.
Isn't he excellent?
Oh, he's 100%. I mean, he's like A+++++.
So is your wife. I mean, are you kidding
fabulous,
me? They're much nicer than me and you.
Oh, they're
They're much better. They're more well-rounded. They're
They
much
are.
more sensible.
Dang it.
The two of us.
How did we? That's why you know there's God. Seriously, you do.
Because God looked at John and I and he was like, boy, I have to send them some significant help.
Please, John, get your act together, you loser.
All right, we need to step away. When we come back, we're going to talk about our picks from Friday. And this is the conclusion of our the picks we've been doing for the NFL season. And
This is all over. This pick thing is over.
Our winner will be announced.
That's... I already know. I lost.
John, you know what that is?
Yeah.
The one that got away. Why Doing It Right Roofing, Siding, Remodeling? It's simple. It's in their name.
Doing It Right uses only top quality materials and employs only experienced installation and management people to install and oversee your project.
Family owned and operated for 38 years and with over 45 years of industry experience, you can be confident that your project will be installed the correct way.
Doing It Right does business honestly, taking no money down and collecting balance upon completion.
You will receive a lifetime labor warranty from Doing It Right.
Doing It Right does all work to manufacturers, National Roofing Contractors Association, and Vinyl Siding Institute guidelines and specifications for a complete and headache-free installation.
Doing It Right is an Owens Corning Platinum contractor and James Hardy preferred contractor.
Most importantly, they're affordable, offering great financing options and accepting all major credit cards.
Be sure to mention John and Kathy for a discount off your roofing, siding, and remodeling estimates.
Call 724-NEW-ROOF or find them at roofingcontractorpittsburgh.com.
What if I told you could save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people just like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant women and girls who might otherwise choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother who is abortion-minded the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. And a $15,000 gift will provide an ultrasound machine that will save lives for years to come. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a phone call or click away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or give online, preborn.org/radio.
Year after year, it's the same routine. Drop off the taxes, pick up the taxes, leave a check. Maybe it's time to work with a business CPA who is less transactional and more relational. For Mike Radich and the team at MGR CPA and Consultants, it's about more than crunching the numbers. It's about getting the advice you need for complex tax issues and business solutions. It's just a better return. MGR CPA and Consultants. Honesty, integrity, always. At mgrcpa.com.
When cold and flu season has you down, don't play around. Stay on top of your game with Mucinex Fastmax Cold and Flu All-in-One, delivering unbeatable multi-symptom relief to help you power through your day. Mucinex Fastmax Cold and Flu All-in-One and done. Use as directed.
Ask Alexa to play the word Pittsburgh to hear us there. We're on your Google speaker too, plus iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.
We've been making picks since pretty close to the beginning. Maybe not the beginning. I'd say a third of the way through the NFL season, we started making our picks.
Every
no
week.
money was exchanged.
No.
It was a friendly wager here
No
and
wager.
there. It was a wager of respect. Seeing who would come out at the end of this contest in a way that the other two people had to say, yes, that is...
You are the champion.
That is the champion.
The champion of all time.
And the day has come. Could you play the music,
in
Christy?
the history of the universe.
I can.
You are the champion. Oh, this is not really champion music, is it?
This is the kind of champion we're talking about, is the one that's reflected in this music.
Again, no money changed hands. It was just us for some bragging rights, which unfortunately won't be mine.
We had 2 games over the weekend. We did the Pens at Devils, and of course we did the Super Bowl, the Bengals at the Rams. And so things were very tight going into this. Christy was in the lead, 26.5. John was close behind at 25.5. I was lagging behind at 25, but still very close. I have closed the gap. I feel like I need to get some kind of...
you were easily within striking distance.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Because there was a time in there where I was very, very decrepit.
Like way back.
And where I was. Anyway, when it came to the Super Bowl, John and Christy were tied.
It was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Tied.
And I knew that going in.
And Christy and I picked the Rams, but John picked the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot riding on those 4 quarters. A lot riding on it. Anyway.
You know what happened.
Too bad, so sad, John.
Too bad, Johnny.
Ended up with 0 points out of the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Anyway. The champion is Christy.
Yes! Christy.
Woo!
Congratulations,
Come out on top.
Christy.
Now, what is
Very
exciting to imagine is what the prize will be for Christy.
Mm-hmm.
Because that might not have been decided upon in advance. That might be something that is in process.
You know what it
even
is?
Now.
It's a box of books.
But she's excited about
Just
that,
kidding.
John.
It's not.
Anyway, Christy, you have my heartiest congratulations.
Mine as well.
And
Good job.
And our adulation. And I have,
excellent.
For those of you watching on YouTube right now, I have pages of our picks.
Yeah, you can't see it.
That
It's all
go
white.
back. I have charts that have been can you look at?
There we go.
No,
I
that's
have
better.
charts here that
Look at
go
that.
back. I mean, I've done this for all this time. It goes back many more pages than I can show you even now. Look at them all.
I
They're
would say that this is something you put on your resume.
I might actually.
Winner of the 2022 Ride Home Pool, right? Sports pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I mean, I feel like this is something that maybe we need to pick up in the fall. I don't think that,
Baseball.
we care enough about baseball.
They're on
and-
strike anyway. Who
Yeah,
cares
I mean,
about these guys?
Right. Maybe we might start a small contest when the NHL playoffs begin.
Sounds like a great idea.
Or maybe a March Madness thing. I think March Madness.
The March Madness.
Yes, a little challenge.
The little bracket there. Sure.
I
we've gotta
found
do a
myself
bracket.
rather successful in the past.
I don't know. What if the Pens? I'm worried that the Pens and by us being involved, somehow that's like bad
mojo.
Like, kind of like we're going to cast because all of a sudden I'm inserting myself next to Sid in.
You're putting yourself in his story.
Kind of.
You know what? I got to be honest. I don't think Sid's concerned about that.
I don't think so at all.
I appreciate your love and care, but I don't think.
From my perspective, though, like I don't want to bump up alongside. You know what I'm saying?
Again, he's unconcerned about it.
Hey, Sid, it's Johnny.
I don't want to mess you up. Sid's
He's gonna
thinking, don't worry, because that's not going to happen.
I got it, John. I got it. The puck's mine.
Yeah, so I'm looking ahead to a March Madness thing where I might perhaps rise to the top.
Perhaps.
He doesn't sound confident, Kat.
I'm just saying.
Hurts me a little.
Anything can happen. I could have won this thing. I could have been somebody.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the Bengals could have won.
They could have won,
but
Joe
they didn't.
Burrow got hurt.
That's right, they couldn't.
Yeah,
and you couldn't, John.
They had plenty of opportunities.
Hey,
yeah.
and Wolf called it. He said, right? Choose the Rams.
Yep, that's exactly. He said, Aaron. He said, go with Aaron Donald, and I said yes.
Yeah, Penn Hill strong.
Mm-hmm. He also said, enjoy my favorite part of the Super Bowl. This is Wolf talking.
Yeah.
The confluence of footages.
Which we did.
Which we did.
We did. We tried to. Anyway, hey, thanks for being with us. Podcast is up and running. See you tomorrow, God willing. Say your prayers, please.
The Ride Home with John and Kathy, a production of Salem Media Group.